Hey guys, this is Faulkdogg with GrinderSchool.com. Today I'm bringing you a Grinder School short on poker legislation in the United States and just kind of getting you up to speed on where we are today. We're going to have to jump right into it. There's a couple possible ways this is going to happen. The two ways it's going to happen is either going to be intrastate poker or interstate poker. Now, intrastate poker is already in the works. Nevada's already passed laws that's going to allow intrastate poker within Nevada. They've already passed legislations. They're setting up a gaming board. I mean, things are going. They're starting to process licenses. They're going to start giving those out. I mean, this process is going to take a couple months for sites to get licenses, and then they have to go back and they have to, certify the software for them to be able to do it. But this is actually happening. And kind of what brought this about was the DOJ ruling last year, and I got to go through it pretty quickly, so I won't get into the details of it. But basically, it started with the lotteries, but the DOJ changed its stance on the Wire Act and said, okay, if it's not about contest or sports betting, then it doesn't apply to the Wire Act. And the Wire Act is basically the reason why you can't live in Ohio and call Nevada and place a sports bet. It's illegal under the Wire Act. Now, this doesn't mean that poker was legal, and when this passed, I think there was a lot of confusion about what this meant, and there probably still is. It doesn't mean that poker's fully legal in the United States. There's still the Unlawful Internet Gaming Enforcement Act. There's some other laws. There's state laws. This doesn't mean Poker Stars and Full Tilt and Ultimate Bet are off the hook. They still did money laundering. They still broke state laws. And actually, those cases are drawing upon New York state law rather than federal law to prosecute them. But it does mean that states can offer intrastate poker. And a lot of states are already actively seeking it. California's been big. New Jersey's been big. New Jersey actually passed a bill, and I believe it was vetoed. But they're going to look at that again. And the reason he vetoed it was because he wasn't sure about the legality of it. Hawaii is a state a lot of people didn't think would get online poker, and they're looking into it. Florida, Iowa's been really big. They've stated they want to get in on the ground floor. They want to be a regulator in the market, and so is Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, Illinois, Delaware, Maine, Maryland. All these states have come together, and they're actively seeking to push online poker within their state. And not only that, there's a lot of other states in the beginning process. I know I live in Kentucky, and Ohio is one of the states that is in the early parts of talking about whether or not they would be interested in it. There is a few states against, Washington and Utah. I doubt Utah for sure will ever get internet poker. Washington already has laws expressly against it. But the good thing about intrastate poker is the states believe they're going to be able to pull together different states, kind of like they do the Powerball, is the pretty good example of it, where, Nevada might set up the regulations and give the licenses out, but Florida and Hawaii, or Florida and Ohio and New Hampshire might pull the players within their state with Nevada to build a bigger player pool, get more money. And this is one of those things where I think that once the states see that they can make money off this, more and more states will want to be a part of something like this. This process isn't going to be quick. It's going to take a while if this is the way it goes. So, really, what we got our fingers crossed, hoping for right now, is going to be interstate poker. And when we talk interstate poker, we're talking HR 2366. This is the Barton Bill. It was introduced by Joe Barton, a Republican from Texas. Its real name is the Internet Gambling Prohibition, Poker Consumer Protection, and Strengthening of the UIGEA Act of 2011. And it was introduced last year. It's already got 27 co-sponsors. It's got bipartisan support. It's an opt-in, which means if this passes, all states are opted in to the bill, and all online poker will be legal in every state. Now, states will be able to explicitly opt out, but there'll be a process to it. And kind of the thinking is a lot of states are just going to be lazy and they're just going to be part of it because it's like they can just sit back and collect revenue off of this. I still think, obviously, Washington and Utah are two states that, they're already actively seeking to outlaw poker, or they have already done so. So I would expect states like that to opt out. There's some threads online where if you want to go in and kind of see the speculation of what states are going to do what. So far, there's been 3 hearings on this. The most recent was actually this week. It was about Indian gaming, and the Indians have concerns about if a federal bill passes, they'll kind of be left out. The PPA did a good job of explaining to them how not only is it not threatening to them, online poker could actually be good for them. And I think we should talk about the future of legislation. Now, the Barton Bill is one way this can come on, and but there was also November 17th of last year when the New York Post had an article that discussed the possibility of a phantom bill between Harry Reid and John Kyle. Now, there's a lot of speculation regarding around this. I don't think that anybody actually has seen this bill or anything, but Reid and Kyle are the ones who asked the DOJ to clarify. So it seems like they are the two. It seems like they are working on this, and Kyle is one of the original the guys that came up with the UIGEA. And the reason why now he's willing to work, I think, is he wants to strengthen the laws already and make gambling illegal in all forms except online poker. I don't think there's a really big push. I might be wrong, but I don't think there's a really big push for just online gambling in general. Most of the lobbying efforts are going towards online poker. And there's been a lot of speculation around this. A lot of people thought it would be attached to the super committee, which that didn't really work out, but they didn't really do anything on the super committee. Also, the payroll tax extension. A lot of people thought at the end of last year when they extended the payroll tax that they would try to piggyback the bill onto this. And that didn't happen, but we're not exactly out of the woods yet with that, because that they only passed a temporary payroll extension. So we have coming up very soon, we're going to have another payroll extension that should pass politically. They almost have to pass it because they are under the they're going to run the risk of making a lot of Americans upset with them. And going along with this, this kind of something that supports this is Caesars recently issued their initial public or their IPO, and they're selling stocks, and from what I hear, it's been a little bit swingy, but it's done quite well for them. And also, there's been multiple partnerships, and even though like 888 and Caesars are one that teamed up, and basically what is happening is a lot of the big land-based casinos are getting with the smaller, or getting with some poker sites. Unfortunately, PokerStars hasn't been one of them due to the ongoing issues they have with the Department of Justice. But there's a lot of other sites, and in this world, 888 and Caesars is probably going to be the biggest site because it's going to be the World Series of Poker, and they're probably going to have the most pull in the beginning. So a lot of this is speculation, but I think right now, probably the best short term, the best we can hope for short term is going to be something like this, where a bill gets introduced, added to that, something similar to what Reid wanted to do last year. The difference is they have a lot more motivation to get it done now, because they don't want, federally, they don't want 50 different states with 50 different online gambling laws doing 50 different things. So they can close the loophole of all gambling, but carve out online poker and make that expressly legal. We did get some bad news. Everleaf withdrew from the U.S. and France. And this is basically exactly their statement. They said several weeks ago when the network lost one of their processors, some of the funds were held back, and it was clear that Homeland Security did it. They now issued a letter telling them to cease and desist operations in the U.S. under threat of legal enforcement against the network. And this is a blow to online poker right now. I know a lot of players, especially a lot of players on this site, did go to Everleaf. The good news is merge. There's other sites still out there. And the best news is multiple sources have said, have quoted them as saying they really understand how this will worry players, especially those in the U.S. But they want to reinforce that all the monies being held by the U.S. players in the rest of the world are secure and ring fenced, is kind of their way of saying segregated. We also have another couple setbacks with the future of American politics. Santorum and Romney are officially against online poker. I don't know Gingrich's stance, but he receives a large contribution from Sheldon Anderson, who is the owner of the Sands, and he is morally against online poker because he doesn't think the laws to protect underage kids are there. I won't go into too much, but I think we can make a pretty good case that those laws are there. Ron Paul and Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson's running as a third-party candidate. They're both for online poker, and despite the We the People petitions, where if you got X amount of signatures, you were supposed to get an official White House response. Obama hasn't released one, which may be good, because people tend to not want to do a lot of things that Obama wants to do. So, actually, kind of not having his endorsement might be good for poker right now. It might help create bipartisan support. The good news is online poker will be back in the USA in some form or another. It's a little early to speculate, but I think now's the time to act. You can go to the www.theppa.org. That's the Poker Player Alliance. They're a big lobbying group out there lobbying for the players. I think they take a lot of they take a lot of crap on the forums. I really think they do really good work, and I think they had a lot of foresight trying to get the bill last year passed with an 18-month blockout, even though a lot of the players didn't like it. I mean, obviously in hindsight, that would have been a lot better than what actually happened. They have legislation forums on 2+2 and Pocket 5s. You can go on there. They have a daily action plan. You can sign up. A lot of people do Twitter and Facebook. You can call your senators. They'll give you all the information you need to do that. You can write letters. I've gotten letters back from Mitch McConnell in my state. I do the actions every day. I go down there and tweet and Facebook, and you may think that a lot of that stuff doesn't have an impact, but I mean it does. That movement's been cited in articles, and we've actually had people that hadn't make their stance let the 2+2ers know that they're behind us, and obviously some in government also said that they weren't for us. But as long as your voice is getting heard, you're making a difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video here, but I really would like to see a lot of people getting behind this and really trying to make a push. I think now is the time, and the future of online poker is probably going to be decided in the shorter term rather than the long term. So I would appreciate any help you guys can do. This is Faulkdogg with GarageSchool.com.